where's the world events? Where's it all going to go? And what's going to happen? And anyone that's switched on in any way has a lot of fear or anger, just looking at a world that's just so unjust. And as anyone that's followed my videos knows, I have a faith in God. And it's funny, I was reading my Bible and this morning, and there's so many people have gone before us in history that thought it was the end of the world. And there were so many leaders that thought that they ruled the world and that they were going to rule things. And I just have a real sense here that things are going to get a lot probably worse. But as they get worse, I think these world leaders that think they have all the answers are going to be held accountable by God himself. And those leaders are going to be humbled to the point where they're going to realize that God is the ruler of the realm. They are not God. And those that don't want to acknowledge that, they're going to have a pretty short shelf life. So I think God controls everything, and we can look and go, well, then why do bad things happen? Yeah, it's all about you, isn't it, right? I mean, I had somebody say to me once, why is this happening to me? It's like, well, why shouldn't it happen to you? The trouble with some of us is we're like the rest of us. We've all got to go through it. And God never told us that we wouldn't go through it. He told us he'd be with us when we do. And that's the times where you really realize if faith is real or not, is when you have to go through the journey and things are going wrong and life is collapsing and stuff's not going the way you want. And then that's when you find out if God's real. That's when you find out that God is real. That's when you find out that prayer and when people praying for you really does help. And sometimes, all the time, I don't think most people really realize that until they are so close to the edge that you can literally feel a prayer when it lifts you up. And so I want to just be an encouragement today to say, yes, I think the world is going to get a lot worse because it's the results of humanism. When mankind thinks he's God, he always messes up. When he turns his back on God, he always messes up. And he always just destroys things. There's world leaders here, and maybe, God willing, this video will make its way to some of them. And it's important that they understand that you are going to be held accountable before God for your actions. And if you don't think so, go and read a Bible. Go and read an Old Testament about the kings that thought that they were bigger than God. Nebuchadnezzar, that looked out across, I think it was him that looked out across his realm and said, oh, look what I've done. And the Bible says sovereignty was removed from him. He was driven out and he lived with the wild beasts for three years, I believe. His nails grew long, his hair grew long, and finally he lost his sanity. Until the day that he looked up to heaven and acknowledged that God is the ruler of the realm. And when he did that, his sanity returned and his sovereignty was returned. There's rulers in this world that think they are God. They forget the privilege of leading people. They forget the privilege of building people and bringing structure and life to people. And instead they're feeding off the people. And the Bible talks about the shepherds that feed off the sheep. Woe to the shepherds who feed off the sheep. Instead of taking care of the sheep, they're feeding off of us. And I have a word for those men and say, God sees. God sees. I'm a nobody. The people around you might be nobodies, but God sees. And when you think about this life, 70, 80, 90 years if you're doing really good, I guess, what is that in eternity? Not even that. And so people live in this, what I call the transit lounge to eternity. This life is the transit lounge on the way to eternity. Your flight's boarding and my flight's boarding. You're bored naked. You'll leave this world with nothing, just as you came. And these world leaders think that they can just feed on the sheep. They think they can get fat in a day of slaughter. And I would be a word to say, God sees. Your transit lounge is passing to eternity. So if you're feeling discouraged today and you're not really quite sure what to do, then I suggest just take a walk. Talk to God like I'm talking to you. Just, God, what do you got for my life? And you'll feel some little bit of peace, or you'll get some little answer, and then give credit where credit's due. Get past this, well, I don't believe in God. Everybody says that. It's usually what they really mean is, I don't believe in religion, because you've been kicked, hurt by religion. Join the club. Get over the victim thinking of it and realise that there's a God up there who allows you to live, allows the breath to pass your nostrils, allows your next heartbeat. And I think when you start giving credit where credit is due, then all you can do is surrender your life and your heart. And to me, it was surrendering to Jesus Christ. And as I did that, I found that things came into line. So this is my word for today, and I hope you're doing good, and keep going, because I do believe God's people, the ones that love their Lord, the Bible says, will be mighty and do great exploits in the end. I think in the end, we win.